Oh, you made it. You're finally here. Welcome to Half Cocktails, a place where we have a great time celebrating science, the social contract, and just plain old congeniality. Dare I say, a place where we seek a path to peace, prosperity, and exploration amongst the stars. What I'm talking about is an all-inclusive society, meaning if you're not on board with the understanding that we all agree to shared rules, norms, and respect, we're not even obligated to consider your opinion. Because the social contract is that important to a civil society. I'm your friend and host, Dan, the worshiping Dionysus man, sipping on some science today with an immersive, immutable drink. Welcome any new listeners just joining us today. We hope you're doing well and having a good time. With me today is Ron. Ron, how are you doing today?
I am doing quite well, sir. How are you?
Oh, fantastic. I had a very fun January. Had the in-laws come and stay. It was just such a great visit.
Fantastic.
Yeah. We released a nice Mormon intensive episode last week. Gave everybody that nice weekend off. I think it went really well.
Yeah. It was I gave that a listen. It was quite the entertaining ride.
If that was your your first foray into the show, you'll be probably pleasantly surprised, I hope, with the format today. Stay tuned until the end of the show. We've got 3 work hacks that leave bosses fuming. Until then, today's show brought to you by Dunder Mifflin, the People Papers Paper. The paper, people's paper. God, I can't even read today. We're going to have some fact checking, take a quick look back at Roe v. Wade decision on January 22nd, 1973. Of course, we do encourage you to reach out to us at halfcocktails@gmail.com. Maybe you want to send us a text message or a phone call. Voicemail, that's fine, 443-499-8253. But be careful, we'll probably talk about any listener communication right here in this segment. And in fact, Ron, we had a comment we didn't get to because, we had the Mormon release last week. But when we were talking about common sense, right?
Yes.
We had Robert over on our Discord bring up the very salient point. He's been wondering how much impact the violence behind the American independence has on our current society. Obviously, that wouldn't account for all the violence we're dealing with, but he points out our country's origin story does model conflict resolution with bloodshed.
Yes, we are pretty much birthed by violence, as are most nations, I expect, in the grand scheme of things.
And unless it was a time where you were hunter-gatherer, like moving into a pristine valley untouched by humans.
Those were the days.
You're taking the domain from like another creature, right?
The good old days, life was great. Then you were, 30 and old and grizzled, eaten by a bear. Good time.
Good time. I actually, I like civilization because of that.
Yeah.
The comforts it provides me. It's amazing. Back to Robert's comment. He asked the question, I wonder what would have been different if the Founding Fathers had instead advocated for peaceful protest to gain more rights and freedoms. It would have taken far longer to achieve independence, and we'd be missing a holiday. But would we be any better or worse off now?
Would we be India?
That was the first thing that came to my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Like, India also had to fight for their freedom. Like, Britain didn't one day say, hey, why don't you guys rule yourselves? We're tired of this. I'm not privy to Canadian independence, but I wonder if they didn't piggyback off of ours.
Because, they are still firmly in the Commonwealth.
They were granted the right to self-government in 1867, but did not gain full legal autonomy until 1931. Okay, so they did get there.
Yes.
And I don't remember any violent war where Canada fought for their independence.
Though the monarchy is still on their currency.
Yeah, they still got the Queen on their currency, right? Great question, Robert. Great question. I think could be delved into a lot deeper than we have time for here.
Definitely.
But keep them coming. Keep them coming. All right. But for now, I think it's time for that quick look back to Roe v. Wade.
Nothing would be better than a look at days of yester in a time machine.
All right. Roe v. Wade. January 22nd, 1973, landmark decision of the U.S. Supreme Court when they first gave the sweeping general protection of the right to have an abortion. It struck down many existing abortion laws, and it's been part of the ongoing abortion debate in the United States ever since. And I mean, this happened long enough ago that I have never, until 2022, lived in a country with that right.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, I think if we're not there, we're close to the vast majority of women alive in the United States grew up with this right, and it is now gone. But we'll get to that. Of course, if you're not aware of that, spoiler alert, shit is going down. Wake up. Everybody's heard of it, I'm sure. The little history behind the case. Jane Roe was a woman named Norma McCorvey. She, in 1969, got pregnant with her third child. She wanted to have an abortion because, you know, the typical, I can't afford this kid in money or time kind of thing. But she lived in Texas, and it was illegal except when necessary to save the mother's life, which even then you have to convince, you have to convince the right people that it's really going to save your life, not your doctor.
Usually an old white man.
You have to convince some bureaucrats, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not some doctors. Well, this woman had, like, lawyers were shopping for the right client, right? Like, so a group of lawyers came to her and were like, hey, we're going to sue to get you that abortion. Yes, this is often what big groups will do when they're trying to push something at the Supreme Court. Like, this isn't just part of what abortion did. No, this is how Supreme Court rulings work. These big court cases, oftentimes it's not just one court case slowly working its way up. It's an issue that's being debated and fought over in courts ongoing, and lawyers want to find the best case to represent so it can go all the way to the Supreme Court and get a solid ruling. So that's what her lawyers, Sarah Weddington, Linda Coffey, were doing. It eventually came before a 3-judge court, the U.S. District Court of Northern Texas, and that ruled in her favor. And that got appealed to the Supreme Court. And January 22nd, 1973, they issued a 7-2 decision in McCorvey's favor, holding that the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment provides a fundamental right to privacy. And that right protects a pregnant woman from the government stepping in and preventing an abortion. It also held that the right to abortion was not absolute. It had to be balanced against the government's interests in protecting women's health and prenatal life. So it did resolve a lot of competing interests by announcing the pregnancy trimester timetable to govern abortion regulations in the United States. Basically said this court says first trimester, the right to abortion is fundamental, and it's just a matter of privacy between the woman and her doctor.
Absolutely.
Right. That was huge. That was so huge. We cannot undercut the importance of that. I think that right to privacy between you and your doctor is being so eroded today. It's maddening. And I don't mean just with the overturning of Roe v. Wade in 2022 by the Dobbs v. Jackson overturned it in 2022. But think about what we're seeing with the trans rights, where people go to their doctor, adults go to their doctor, and they want some specific surgeries and treatments. And we're seeing states enact laws saying, no, doctor, you can't do that. We're going to step in and we're going to violate the privacy of this patient and this doctor and those procedures. We're going to step in and say,
but party of small government.
Yeah, right. This is pushed by the party who used to be the party of small government. They're clearly not, Ron. They're clearly not.
Now we're going to be all up in your business because it's our business for whatever reason.
There is no other way to legally define what's happening than you're invading this people's business and their privacy things that the government should not have any fucking say in, right? Like, I'm sorry. If you want to go to a plastic surgeon, get your nose done, maybe you want to get the skin tightened on your neck, maybe you want a facelift, maybe you want Botox. Well, guess what? That's between you and your doctor. Okay? You want to tell people like they can't have a plastic surgery? I'm sorry. That's just ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
And that's where we're at. This ruling set in place 1973, almost 50 years of legal precedent. Now, legal precedent is a really important thing to understand here, and it's basically my favorite analogy is precedent is saying I'm not going to pull any cards out below where this house of cards is being built, right? Precedent is in order for the constitutional framework and court structure to function properly and for people to make sense of laws and for people and businesses and the government and the states all to understand how these laws work and how they're going to play out with a reasonable expectation in court. Precedent is if a higher court has ruled this, then that is now how we're going to rule going forward.
Right. It's consistency, structural consistency.
Structural consistency. Without it, we have chaos. And that's where we're at today. Chaos, because going against precedent, now Texas can pass a law saying white women and black men can't get married.
It's coming somewhere.
And where that couple would used to have a right to privacy in their lives and their business, well, we've started overturning precedents. So there's no explicit law saying a black man can marry a white woman. The way the rights work with the 9th and the 14th Amendment is there's implied rights. If it's not explicitly written, that's basically what the 9th. The entire text of the 9th Amendment is the enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. Meaning you have rights that we didn't talk about, right? We don't have time to list every single right you have. So the idea is there are implied rights retained by the people. And one of those rights and privileges is to marry whomever you choose, right? Like that's not, I mean, well, they had to fight that in terms of gender, and we got there, and that's why people are very much afraid. We only recently established the legality of gay marriage, and I believe that was done in the courts. Yeah, all 50 states in 2015 through various court rulings, and many of them direct popular votes. And because even though states have separate marriage laws, they have to adhere to rulings by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court recognized marriage as a fundamental right guaranteed by the Due Process Clause and Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. So that's why people are scared other rights are going to go away. And they are under attack because the current Supreme Court has said it doesn't matter what rights you had. Precedent doesn't matter anymore.
It's unpredictable. It's the Wild West. Due
process, right to privacy, equal protection. It's all up to their new interpretation, all under attack. And I might add, it's really frustrating to have watched this and been paying attention. The last 3 Supreme Court justices that were appointed to the court all had to sit in confirmation hearings. And they all said, we understand precedent. We know how fucking important it is.
Lied.
And they lied. You know, I actually got in a big fight with my extremely right-wing Christian nationalist father. And I brought that point up. And he said, you know what, Dan? Everybody knew who they were and how they were going to eventually vote. I was like, wait, it was on me to not believe them? I walked out of the restaurant at that point.
Right.
Very angry.
Oh my God.
Like, it's on me to know you're lying.
Right.
And not trust your word.
It's my fault.
That's where we're at.
Victim shaming.
Oh, I forgot. Jesus said, don't lie unless people know you're lying. What? Good Lord.
The logic. The logic, it hurts.
Which one of us believes in Jesus here, asshole? Oh my God. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. Hopefully we'll get those rights back in the future. We need to enshrine them in law.
Yes.
That's
sure.
the way you undo a Supreme Court decision, is you have to do a new law. But we have to, as a country, decide which political party is going to give us more rights and which is stripping them away. And then we need to vote out the one taking away our rights.
Yes.
Right. If that happens, we can get something passed in Congress and signed by the president into law, and boom, we have Roe v. Wade enshrined in legislation. We'll need to, sadly, apparently the Ninth Amendment doesn't mean anything anymore. So you have to put everything specific, gay marriage.
Yeah, everything has to be spelled out.
The right, you have a right to modify your body as you see fit, right? Like, I don't like gauge earrings personally. I don't like looking at them. I think I don't like them. I don't get them. They're not for me. But you know what? It's your fucking body. You do what you want to it.
Damn right.
My not liking it shouldn't affect your ability to get it done.
Correct.
It's your business. It's fucking your business. End of story. Anyway, that's a quick run through Roe v. Wade. The other thing I forgot to mention as I was going through it, the whole first trimester thing. Dawn of time. Generally speaking, the idea was baby's not alive until the quickening. Are you familiar with that term, the quickening?
Yes.
It's the moment in pregnancy when a pregnant woman starts to feel the fetus's movement in the uterus. Sometimes it can be misattributed to like gas or hunger pains, but generally speaking, women who are pregnant begin to feel the baby moving at the end of the first trimester. So that's kind of where they got that from. And in their decision, if you dive into what the justices were talking about, like, they were very aware, like, there's a medical, theological, philosophical debate as to when life begins, and we, the court, can't decide that. All we can do is go with the way society has been accepting it for as long as we have had an American society, which was life begins the quickening.
And for you biblical scholars out there, I think confirm this for me if I'm mistaken, but I have heard that it is definitely represented in the Bible that a child is not alive until it has been born. And I do believe that is in Scripture. I believe there are some passages, but I am not familiar with which one.
We've got Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul.
When he took his first breath.
Right. Job 33, verse 4, Spirit of God has made me, and the breath of the Almighty gives me life. Ezekiel 37, chapter 37, verses 5 and 6. Thus says the Lord God to these bones, behold, I will cause breath to enter you, and you shall live. And I will lay sinews upon you, and will cause flesh to come upon you, and cover you with skin, and put breath in you, and you shall live, and you shall know that I am the Lord. So several different instances which the Bible explicitly says it begins with breath. I mean, and let's not forget that the Bible also gives instructions on when to do an abortion. Yeah. Like literally in the Old Testament, correct. It's like, oh, did you have a baby? Are you pregnant out of wedlock? Okay, here's what you do. Oh yeah, Old Testament God killed tons of kids. He's all about it. All about it. All right, let's talk about some modern news.
It's time for some news from our point of view. We'd even be glad if we could have a lap or two. It's time for some news.
All right, Ron. I got to tell you, the big news for me is we found alien life.
Boom. Tell me more.
Fucking legit alien life. I'm not talking UFOs landing. That would, of course, everybody would know about it. You would not be finding out about it here. The James Webb Telescope is just, and I had no idea, it's just super fucking incredible telescope that is using multiple different instruments to peer out into space in ways we've not been able to do ever before, and with better clarity. In fact, there's one distant galaxy where they were like, "Oh, we're getting too much gas. It doesn't make sense with the Big Bang how much gas could be there." And then the James Webb looks at this and finds it's not one giant nebula; it's three nebulas that are close together that we just couldn't make out the clarity until the James Webb got there. Really, really amazing stuff. So this telescope, it's got different infrared instruments, spectrographs, and cameras. They are observing absorption spectra. Basically, they're able to capture like chemical fingerprints from stars and planets and whatnot, right? And they found this planet that's 124 light years away. It's K2-18b. Those scientists really great at naming these. There aren't enough of those in Star Trek, by the way.
Yeah.
We're going to planet K512c.
No, it's always, we're going to Devon 4.
Right.
Cestus 3.
Cestus 3. Right. Exactly. Okay, so this planet, they check it out, and they're like, holy shit. Okay, this thing, it's in the Goldilocks zone. So the temperature's right for life. It's a Hycean world. So it's an ocean world. It's got a hydrogen-rich atmosphere, but full of water. And now they've shown that it's got dimethyl sulfide.
Ooh.
That only comes on Earth. That only comes from biological processes.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Okay. In our Earth's sulfur cycle, the ocean, plankton eats stuff, shit it out. Bacteria eat the plankton shit, turn it into dimethyl sulfide. Lots of scientists were very much not on board. In fact, the article that I've pulled up has been updated with experts are pushing back against the reporting, including one source quoted by the magazine who says her remarks were taken out of context.
Sure.
So they're backpedaling because it could be the dimethyl sulfide could come from a process that we don't understand, that doesn't exist.
Oh, most definitely.
To us, right? Like, it might not be plankton. It could be a chemical reaction between two other elements. Like, we can make it in a lab. It's going to take years before a scientist in the field will come out and say, no, we have definitively, there's no other explanation. This is life.
Right. But what a possibility.
But to somebody like me sitting here and being like, it's the Goldilocks zone, it's a fucking ocean planet, that would be one of the signs of life on an ocean planet.
Right. A pretty good chance.
Right? It's the best chance I think we've ever seen.
Yeah, I would agree.
Sadly, we got to get faster than light travel if we're going to find out.
Right. If that's even possible. I hope so.
Yeah. Oh yeah, me too. It's way more probable than aliens are visiting us right now. And
correct.
They're just covering it up.
No. I think it's most likely if we are visited by extraterrestrial intelligence, it will be in the form of robotics, AI, sending out probes that can interact with other beings.
Right, because that's the safe way for an alien race to do it.
Right. We have to get a biological life form across vast distances in time. That really decreases your odds of having a successful mission, I would expect. But, send an AI, send a robot.
Yeah, now I'm getting in the Star Trek episode territory. I'm like, yeah, and then what if they're dead by the time we get their robot? But that's what we do with our satellites and rovers and shit. We're sending our robots into space.
Yeah.
They're always preceding us.
Yeah, on Mars, we're the alien.
Right, in our own backyard. But that's funny. We are aliens on Mars, but when I think about like galactic exploration, I'm like, well, Mars, yeah, that counts. It's the same solar system.
Right. It's like, yeah, we assume it's already ours.
It's already ours. All of them are.
Yes.
They just found giant chunks of ice on Mars. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I think I read it was enough water to cover the surface of Mars under about 6 feet of water.
Incredible, right? It makes me think, do you think that, was Mars in the Goldilocks zone at one point and they just kind of drifted away? Like, what happened, Mars?
Yeah, I mean, from what I've read, Mars at one point would have been a fairly habitable planet.
Yeah.
They lost their magnetic field.
Oh.
That caused them to lose most of their atmosphere, lost a lot of their water.
Climate change, bro.
And, yeah. And a lot of the water that we see that's locked up that they just discovered now is, equatorial. And how would that happen? Well, I think there's evidence that Mars has changed its rotation or changed its tilt several times in deep history over the last several billion years, which would have made that equatorial area a pole at one point in time, at least as far as its relationship to the position of the sun, where you could accumulate this vast amounts of ice. But it's equatorial now, but couldn't have been when it developed as ice.
It didn't start that way.
Couldn't have. No.
Wow. Yeah, fascinating stuff. There also further space technology news. We recently had 2 lunar missions. One by the Japanese Space Agency, one by Astrobotic, a company out of Philadelphia.
Mixed results so far?
With mixed results. The Japanese Space Agency did land on the moon. They actually made it there. They've got a little BB-88 rolling robot to pick up rocks. Like it's a geological expedition. They want to see if they can link moon rocks to the Earth. Right? They're probing like the origins of the moon and stuff. But that's the less interesting story. They do have a really cool lunar module that they call the Moon Sniper. It earlier landed on a tiny asteroid with lower gravity, and when they did make it to the moon, they had an accident in landing. I believe they also lost some fuel, but they managed to land successfully. They're moving forward. But the Astrobotic, very loudly protested by native groups because one of their missions, private American company with like many different missions in the payload, and one of them being taking human remains to the moon for burial, and native groups who believe that the remains they're part of the Earth and they need to come back to the Earth. They were very offended. The public protest. Yeah, that one had some issues after takeoff, burnt up a ton of fuel, and they weren't able to land. So they did a control burn, and all those remains back on Earth,
including Gene Roddenberry remains.
Did he have remains on this rocket?
He did, but he's already, I think, has had parts of his remains sent up a couple other times. I think the same company. Wow.
Oh, interesting.
This is the first time one of his samples has failed. So he's already out there. I think James Doohan's out there too.
How weird would it be to be like a creative or an actor? Somebody wrote a book or story or a show, or you're an actor, and like they're like, your remains have to go to space. What? And you're like one of the NASA scientists and shit, and people are like, who? It'd be infuriating. Oh, one of the guys who actually played a part in doing it? No, we don't give a shit.
No.
But did you play it on TV? Hoo-hoo.
Or did you stay at a Holiday Inn Express?
Or did you? Oh, yeah. Yeah. But in non-space news, couple of really cool stories hit my radar. We found Swiss and Greek archaeologists found a temple to Artemis in Greece.
Ooh.
That still had a bunch of gold and silver jewelry intact.
Wow.
One of the more special altars shaped like a horseshoe even had fucking ashes and old bones and shit still inside it.
Damn. Unrated tombs are hard to come by.
Yeah, it's such like that's immediately where my head went. Like the locals knew about this place and they didn't pillage the whole thing.
Right.
That's so rare. It was built on an older one that had some bronze figurines and a clay bullhead that was 3,500 fucking years old.
Hey.
As old as they gave it a range like 2,500 and 3,500. That was intact too, and it was a structure that this one got built on. Sadly, it was destroyed by a fire, and in the 6th century BC, and then they built a new one, 100 feet long. Sanctuary of Americia Artemis at Amaranthos. Really, really amazing stuff. It shows that they were trading with Asia already with some of the fittings they found.
That's really fucking cool.
Not archaeology, probably not the same as a space science, but it's definitely one that I don't know, floats my boat. Mm-hmm. I love good archaeology. And the story I wanted to get end on, I don't know if you heard anything about the woolly mammoths up in Alaska.
I don't believe I have.
So they've got this site that's got a bunch of like mummified mammoths and the bones and tusks. And they've taken the tusk from one of the mammoths that they've nicknamed Elma up it's University of Alaska Fairbanks. And they discovered this specimen in 2009. It was called the Swan Point Archaeological Site. It's where they're getting all these mammoths, a cluster of mammoths, where they got this specific one. They're using isotope analysis. And I didn't realize this, but apparently the mammoth tusk grows at a constant, steady daily rate, which means every meal they eat gets mapped into their tusk.
Whoa.
That's incredible.
It's a record of their meals.
Their fucking tusk is literally like a journal of their nutrition. Could you imagine going to your nutritionist and having them be like, all right, let me see the tusk. Dude, you are eating like shit. I could say,
don't even lie to me.
Chili cheese fries 4 times in 1 week, you motherfucker. Your heart's gonna explode. Yeah. So they're using the strontium isotope because it's super stable. It decays at a set rate, and they're mapping this tusk using strontium isotopes, analyzing the isotopes, being like, okay, it had this much, and then they compare that to the U.S. Geological Survey, and they can actually map where Elma traveled, how she traveled, where she was,
where she ate,
because as they eat the grass and shit, because they're just fucking elephants with hair, you get dirt and minerals, so the rocks that were around ended up in their tusks, the strontium. And so, like, they're able to say, like, oh my God, okay, so this strontium is decayed this much. That's just like these rocks over here. Then they took the archaeological map of the prehistoric Alaskan people and overlaid that on top. And lo and behold, they line up.
Yeah, fantastic.
Old school Alaskans were mammoth followers.
Mammoth hunters. Absolutely.
For sure. And now, like it's easy to assume that. I know some people might just be rolling their eyes like, well, of course they're going where the food is. But we actually, like a detective mystery, pieced it together and have proven it.
Show me evidence, not just assumed.
Fucking Perry Mason in court can actually prove, Your Honor, these humans relentlessly hunted these mammoths.
Beyond a shadow of a doubt.
There's no doubt here. And it's crazy. They had to use, and I don't think we would have been able to do this in the past because they're using fucking molecular tools. They're analyzing the isotopes. They're doing DNA analysis, radiocarbon dating, all triangulating it. It's like, fuck.
It's high level shit.
Oh yeah. So I'm all for anything shedding light on extinct animals. I do think it would be fun to clone and revive the mammoth, but it's a moral, ethical, and legal quandary facing the day.
Pretty soon we'll have fucking Jurassic Park, and that never ends well. Have you seen the movies?
I have. TikTok user Justin Nichols says he'd like to learn more about a few other than the mammoth. He'd like to learn about the bison antiquus, the panthera atrox, the ground sloth, dire wolf, giant beaver. It's like, damn.
So all the other megafauna of that age, yeah.
Like a hit list of the good ones, right? Like all the greatest hits. Like I honestly, I think that weirdly the giant sloth is my favorite.
Like I think we need to do an episode on location at the La Brea Tar Pits and talk about the extinct megafauna.
That'd be fucking cool.
They have a delightful dire wolf exhibit there. Fascinated me as a kid there, learning that many canine species have penis bones. Never knew that until visiting tar pits and, dire wolf. Wow, is that where boner comes from?
Oh, shit. It is where boner comes from.
And apparently most canids have that, and a lot of mammals have that. Great selection tool for being able to select for healthy offspring in humans.
Yeah.
If you're not healthy enough to maintain an erection for penetrative sex, without the help of a rigid structure in there, you're going to have healthy offspring.
Yeah, and that's really what the penis bone does in all these different animals, right? It's like instant erection. The bone just slides into place.
It's fully hydraulic for humans, so, if you're not operating on all cylinders, you have some heart problems, you're not going to be able to impregnate your mate.
I've definitely had enough booze to where I've experienced that. It's like, oh, shit. Why isn't this working? Why can't a bone just slide into place and I'm ready to go? Stupid beer.
Whiskey dick.
Yeah. I should think it was wine at the time. That's irrelevant.
That's a different show.
That's a different show. All right. Let's, you know what time it is, Ron?
What time is it?
I think it's fact-checking time.
Oh.
Here we go, what do you know? It's fact-checking time. Will you believe or be deceived? It's fact-checking time. Cross my heart and hope to die. Stick a needle in my eye. Here's the quiz that all the kids call fact-checking time.
All right. So as you know, fact-checking time is a quiz where I present 3 fact-checked news stories and 3 news stories that I'm going to pretend like they were fact-checked. And Ron has to tell me, I'm going to present 2 at a time. He has to tell me which one was actually fact-checked on a website and which one was just a news story that I'm making sound like it was fact-checked. Are you ready, Ron?
Yes, bring it on.
Bringing it on. Okay. Either Greta Thunberg is rich as hell, the climate activist, social media claims saying she is worth $18 million. She owns many cars and houses, and basically her money is not where her mouth is, or it is. She's doing this for money.
So what a hypocrite. Right.
What a hypocrite. Or that social media claim that billionaires are completely unconcerned about a Donald Trump presidency at the Davos convention in Switzerland.
Okay. I am going to say the fact check one is going to be the Greta article there. I do believe the Davos folks are pretty unconcerned about Trump.
That is correct. Ding ding. The European CEOs are more concerned than American ones. Even Jamie Dimon, CEO JP Morgan Chase, praised Trump as getting many things kind of right.
I think he also said bizarrely that Democrats need to listen to Trump supporters, listen to what they have to say.
Yeah, which is true. I do believe in that. But when what you have to say is rules for thee and not for me.
Exactly. His listen to is kind of agree with.
Right? When they're openly lying, the Supreme Court justices that have taken away our rights are openly lying to get in power.
Mm-hmm.
When your leaders are pushing things like the big lie about the election, you should, you know what? You're losing me.
Totally.
I don't think the flat earther has a place at the discussion at the science table, right?
No.
That's what I'm saying. and he even Jamie Dimon even said Trump was all bark and no bite. I can't take that chance. My rights are being destroyed right now. He said he'd be a dictator on day one.
Believe him.
I can't take that chance. So Greta Thunberg, in fact, has donated most of the money she's gotten to various charities. Her prizes. She's middle class, upper middle class. She's not rich. She's not grifting.
Just because grifting off of one's likeness, personality, cult of personality is something that conservatives would do. That is something they would assume she would be doing because they would be doing it.
Yeah.
So of course she would be doing that. That would make perfect sense in a lot of folks' minds. True or not.
And I mean, we often talk about snake oil on this show. There's no end. People are right when they say, yeah, people do scam. They do scam and they do fraud. But believe it or not, Sweden has open tax shit. So anybody can go look at the fucking taxes she files. Okay. You want to talk about tax dodging? Don't look at Greta Thunberg. Look at the Panama Papers that got leaked and then everybody forgot about.
Right.
That's not even a conspiracy theory, Ron. I wish it was. You see, kids, there were these Panama Papers, and they described how everybody all over the world, all the rich, powerful people, were hiding their money and not paying taxes on it. But nobody cared.
Panama Papers. That's just that really crappy movie from the 80s. I know. I saw that one. The Panama Papers.
Damn.
Is that a Robert Ludlum story?
Yeah, right. Oh. Anyway. All right, next fact check. Firearms expert claims Alec Baldwin should have checked the gun's chamber, and that's why he got arrested. The Rust shooting in New Mexico, where actor, producer Alec Baldwin, while practicing a quick draw, famously shot and killed the cinematographer. Was it fact-checked that a firearms expert called him out and said it was on him? Or is there a guy, spiritual cult leader, spreading disinformation about slavery, saying Black Americans are not descended from Africans, rather they're Native Americans?
I'm going to say the second story is the fact check.
That is correct.
Yeah, that was mostly a guess.
A guy named Rashad Jamal. He's got a lot of crazy theories. He's got a YouTube channel called the University of Cosmic Intelligence.
A lot of crazy.
Yeah, a lot of claims about weather control, governments run by reptiles. Yeah, he's claiming that Black Americans are the true Native Americans. That he's like, if Africa, I'm quoting him, if we really came from Africa, they would have hopped on them ships and came over and got us a long time ago.
Wow. Impeccable logic.
Yes, Rashad Jamal was fact-checked. No, in fact, Black people in America are actually descended from Africa. They are not the true Native Americans. Just insulting in two ways, right?
Very.
Like you're insulting Native Americans and Africans. Like, wait, like what?
Brad.
Anyway, okay, last one. Video and pictures on social media show hundreds of thousands of people in Germany. Claim is they are demonstrating against right-wing extremism. Or Nikki Haley has used HARP technology to disrupt the Iowa caucus by making the weather bad. Now, HARP is a high-frequency active auroral research program.
Okay.
So
that's pretty impressive abilities there. That sounds more like it would be a Dark Brandon ability, not a Nikki Haley ability.
Oh, you don't think Nikki Haley was commanding the HARP program to?
Like I said, if anyone was, it was Dark Brandon. When he turns those powers on, man. Yeah, I'm going to say I'm going to say the Nikki Haley one was fact checked. I'm just going to wing it there.
You are 3 for 3 today. That one was actually fact checked. Hundreds of thousands of people did demonstrate against right-wing extremism in Germany. There's no doubt about that. No need to fact check that. That happened. And also, Nikki Haley has no connection to HARP. She did not. I guess I should back up. First of all, HARP can't do that. There's and I think maybe our entertainment does this to us, right?
Is that the same technology? Is it the same technology that Russia accused NATO of using in the Black Sea to create large waves? I think they recently made that accusation that Joe Biden used a secret NATO weapon to shake the Black Sea to cause bad weather, which caused them to lose some assets, I believe.
Damn. I had not heard that. That's amazing. There's this thing. If you don't understand the science, it's might as well be magic, right?
Right.
Like if you and I got thrown back in time to the Renaissance with our laptop computer full of TV shows, that's going to be magic to them. We're wizards. They don't understand it
completely.
And I feel like a lot of these conspiracy theories really lean into that. Like they don't understand what HARP is doing. So it may as well be controlling the fucking weather.
I don't understand it, therefore it is nefarious, and I must challenge it.
Yeah, it's fucking magic. It was established in 1993 to research the ionosphere. Also, the University of Alaska Fairbanks, the same people who taught us about mammoths earlier. They're really into some scary shit.
They are the Illuminati, aren't they?
Mapping the movement of mammoths and turning the Iowa blizzard cold.
They have eyes everywhere.
They got eyes everywhere. I'd have to research it myself, but I can guarantee you they don't have that. Whatever they're doing doesn't affect the weather enough to, especially localize it. Like we're going to put a blizzard right on Iowa.
If it did, would we have a snowpack issue over the last 30 years in the West, degrading the amount of water in the Colorado River system? I think we would use this technology to give ourselves plenty of water in our arid West.
Yeah.
No, we're just gonna use it to fuck with people.
Right? There was a guy in 2016 that used math to show how conspiracies unravel. Dr. David Grimes, Oxford University, actually put together an equation to express how difficult it is to keep a conspiracy under wraps. The sooner or later, a person will talk, right? So he actually built an equation to calculate how many people could be involved. Like the tusk, he used real life examples. He used the NSA secure PRISM surveillance program. It involved 36,000 people, and it was revealed by Edward Snowden after about 6 years, right? And then he brought up the Tuskegee syphilis experiment,
ugly,
where they gave syphilis to all those black dudes, and then withheld penicillin treatment. Didn't tell them they had it,
just to see what would happen. Very Dr. Mengele.
Oh, very, very. That involved 6,700 people. And a guy named Dr. Peter Buxton blew the whistle after 25 years. So he was like, okay, based on this, we can get an estimate of, like, the more people you add, the quicker it gets revealed, right?
Yeah.
So he estimated the moon landing hoax would have began in 1965 using his parameters with NASA's 411,000 employees. The hoax would have been revealed at about 3.7 years.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So if it's more than 50 years old, he says that at most it could have had 250 people involved.
Wow.
Thus, scientifically, it's more reasonable to believe the moon landing happened, regardless of the technology it built pyramid style to get us where we are today. That's another thing I like to point to.
And you have all the misinformation, still new stuff coming out all the time, like just recently the accusation or people saying that Buzz Aldrin is now saying that the moon landing was fake.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's a question I've seen on Quora a couple of times of late. I heard the news that Buzz Aldrin is now denying the moon landing. Don't they remember? It wasn't that long ago. I mean, it's probably 15 years ago now, where he punched that guy out for saying, "Hey, man, moon landing didn't happen." He knocked that guy on his ass.
Yeah, he laid that dude out. Yeah, Buzz Aldrin is a man of science. I admire that guy.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's kind of a badass. He's 94 years old, still alive.
He's cantankerous. Don't fuck with him.
Yeah, fucking astronaut, engineer, and fighter pilot.
Yeah, legit.
Wow. Anyway, all right. Let's like to leave everybody with some feel good news. Let's move on. Let's get something make us feel good. Get out of this dark conspiracy, Ben.
That sounds wonderful.
A gulp or a sip, maybe even a hit, and join us for half-cocked feel good. And join us for half-cocked feel good.
Okay, Ron. The Galapagos Conservancy, a organization down in South America.
A magical place.
Magical place. Oh, yeah. If you get a chance, you should go. They just airlifted 136 juvenile tortoises to Isabella Island, their only natural habitat on Earth. These giant Galapagos tortoises are between the ages of 5 and 9 years old. They were hatched and raised at the Breeding and Rearing Center, where dedicated park rangers ensured their well-being. And then they moved them from that center to the wild. So they isolated and like raised them healthy, got them to juvenile age, where they're tortoises are very famously as babies very vulnerable. So they got them raised where they think they're old enough now to get out there.
Outstanding.
Yeah. So they're really trying to restore the ecological balance of this island chain, the Galapagos island chain in Ecuador. And tortoises are a big part of that. They eat a lot of the plants and keep the ecosystem stable.
And this is a highly endangered species, I'm assuming. Do they know how many individuals there are left? Out of curiosity. I do love me an endangered species success story. There are so few and far between with these. You hear every week another extinction. We are in the middle of this new mass extinction, it seems.
So they're comprised of 15 subspecies. 2 of those are already extinct.
Ooh.
But I guess all the different islands have a different subspecies. Obviously, Darwin was discovering it.
But the isolation increased the selection. Yeah, the differentiation between the species.
The captive breeding stuff started in 1959. There were only 200 adults. So this has been going on for a while. Today, there are 17,000. Now, when you're coming from 200, that sounds like a ton. But
wow.
They used to have over 250,000.
That's
17,000 is still pretty tiny compared to 250,000.
Right. But still, quite the success.
Yeah, that's according to the London Zoo. When I made it to Ecuador, I did not have the money to go to the Galapagos.
Yeah. My parents are lucky enough. They've been a couple times. They say it's amazing.
I had to make the choice to either take the airplane to see the Nazca Lines or the boat to see the Galapagos.
Ooh, tough choice.
I didn't know if I would make it all the way to Ecuador with money, because I just kind of went down there backpacking around with a friend, open-ended, right? I was like, I don't know, but I definitely, like, I was in Nazca. I was like, okay, while we're here, I got to do it, right?
You got it.
It is a tough choice, but I stand by it. Peru's fucking amazing. Ecuador is cool. I saw more of Peru than Ecuador. But anyway, giant tortoises, 136 juveniles just released on Isabella Island. That makes me smile. If you're having a bad day, go look at some pictures of some cute animals. Giant tortoise is up there with some adorable photos.
Baby sea tortoise. Oh.
Yeah, I like the ones with the really long necks, like sticking them out to eat. Like, awesome. Anyhow, all right. Sadly, you know what that brings us to, Ron?
Aww.
Yeah, I know. I'm having a good time too, but all good things do have to eventually come to an end. Today's episode brought to you by Dunder Mifflin, where bad bosses are born. Give a shout out to science, congeniality, and the social contract, making society better than anarchy for many of the last thousands of years. Ron, do you have any final words, thoughts, or goodbyes? Stay thirsty.
Stay thirsty.
With a ham's beer. Tastes like ham. Call us, hams.
Call us. Talk to our people.
Have a wonderful day, folks. If you had a good time with us today, you know what to do. Tell someone that needs to hear us. You can find us over at halfcocktails.com. We're on TikTok, YouTube, Discord. If you're in a giving mood, please come show your support over at Patreon. We'll have all those links in the episode description. Thanks for stopping by, hanging out. Now go out and be well.
Now things are ending, it's time to go. No more to get through, thanks for listening, that's our show. Ain't affectation, we're just leaving you half-cocked. Half-cocked. We had a good time talking today, but even best times eventually they fade away. Ain't adjuration, we're just leaving half-cocked.